Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's very Dicty again from Jagging and Company Associates, and today I want us to move on with automating balance sheet. And in our final product, we are supposed to get a report like this you are seeing on my screen. But before then, we need to do quite some coding before we come to the final result. So let me just take you back to where we were doing our Python code. So with the balance sheet, we'll start with the current assets as we move on. So in our first line of code, we are saying that combined underscore data 1 is equal to data underscore BS. Remember, we allocated variables for period inputs, of which data underscore BS is a variable within each and every period input, such that when we key period 1 or period 2, the variables for data underscore BS should be available in those periods. So down here we are saying that combined underscore data 1 is equal to combined underscore data 1 dot replace. So we are replacing the null values with 0. And then the next line of code, now next line of code, we are saying that combined data underscore data 1 is equal to combined data group by, and then we are grouping by category and ledger, and then we are summing the grouped values. And then we are saying down here that data underscore BS is equal to combined data 1. So we are changing we are creating another variable here, and this variable we are trying to reference this variable called combined underscore data 1. Then down here we have created a blank we are creating a blank data frame, and then the blank data frame is being created from a dictionary. So you can see we have curly brackets, and then within the curly brackets we have labels with the empty cells. So when you see where I have square brackets, these are just empty cells, empty columns, where we have labels, but within the columns you don't have values. So these are empty dictionary in terms of values. And then when you come down here, we are trying to put this dictionary within a data frame. So we are saying that blank underscore df underscore assets is equal to pd dot data frame. Then we are referencing the blank underscore df underscore assets. So we are putting this dictionary, rather we are transforming the dictionary to a data frame. So after creating the dictionary, after creating the blank data frame, so we are also creating another row down here. We are adding a row to this data frame, where we are saying that blank underscore df underscore assets dot log in square bracket blank underscore df underscore assets dot shape is equal to current assets comma current assets again, and then with 3 zeros. So the first two columns we have category, and this other column is ledger, and the other columns we have these comparative figures. So these are the three columns. So let's try to print this blank data frame. We see what we have. So the period, I'll use period 1. Period 1, then the financial year in reviews 2017. So this is the blank data frame I'm talking about, and then we've just created another row for current assets. So this row will be our heading for current assets. So let me pull this down. Then in the next line of code, we are saying that current assets are 1 is equal to pd dot data frame, then in bracket data bs, again in square bracket data bs is equal to category is equal to current assets. So we are trying to select or subset a data where category is equal to current assets. Then down here you're seeing that current assets and the current assets.log in bracket total current assets is equal to current assets in double square bracket. We are putting the numerical columns, and we are summing the values within the numerical columns. So again, you're saying current assets is equal to current assets dot replace. So here we are replacing the null values with total current assets. So in this upper code here, we're just trying to get the total values of the current assets. And then down here, we're saying that current asset is equal to pd.concat. So we're trying to concatenate the blank data frame with this other current asset 1 to get our full data frame for the current asset. So let's print current assets and we see what we have. I will comment this other one out. The period is 1, and then the financial year and review is 2017. So this is what we have as our current assets. So we have the heading which is still having zeros, but when we format it and replace the 0 with the blank cells, it will look like what is supposed to be. So we have a data frame for current assets. So let's move on to current liabilities. So current liability also will use the same procedure, same principle that we've used up here. So here again we are creating a blank rather just a row to head the current liabilities values. Then below it we have current liabilities dot pd dot current underscore liabilities equal to pg dot data frame in bracket data underscore bs, then in square bracket data underscore bs, then category is equal to current liabilities. So here we are trying to select rather to create a subset of data where we only have category as current liabilities. Then in this other line of code, we are trying to sum the values, the numerical columns, we are summing the values. And then down here again, we are trying to replace the null values with the total current liabilities. And then we are saying that current liabilities is equal to pd dot data frame, then in bracket current liabilities. So it means that up here it's not in data frames. Down here we are putting the same variable within a data frame. Okay. So let's print current liabilities and we see what we have. So we'll again use period 1. Then here will be 2017. So this is our current liabilities. You can see we have category, we have ledger, we have YTD actual, YTD last year and total last year. So these are just comparative columns within the data frame. We must have our actual values for the current period. Then we also want to compare in this current period, what are the comparative figures for the previous period, and then we also want to have the values of total values of the period last year. So that is all about current liabilities. Then down here now we want to get the net current assets. So with the net current assets, we are trying to say that we do away with this confusing. We are saying total current assets is equal to current assets underscore liabilities.log. Before then, let me just try to explain where we have concatenated two the data frames. So here we are trying to concatenate current assets and current liabilities, but we are coming down here and saying that current assets underscore liabilities is equal to pd.concat, then current assets, current liabilities, and axis is equal to 0. Then we are resetting index, so the axis is equal to 0 because we are concatenating the data frame vertically. And then down here we are saying that current assets underscore liabilities is equal to current underscore assets underscore liabilities dot drop index. Then the axis is equal to 1. I hope you understand what we mean by to reset index, because we've talked about this before in our previous calculation, or rather our previous data frames for P&L. So let's print the concatenated data frames for both current liabilities and current assets, and we see what we have. So the period again will be period 1. (2017). So now this is a concatenated data frame where we have both current liabilities and current assets. Current asset is on top. So this is the format that we always use when we are calculating our rather when we are projecting our balance sheet within Excel. So again, now we need to get the net current assets. So net current assets, again, you're saying that total current assets E underscore C underscore A to mean total current assets is equal to current assets underscore liabilities dot log current assets underscore liabilities, where category is equal to total current assets. The next line of code, we are subsetting a data set where category is equal to current liabilities. So these are the two different variables. So now we want to get the difference between the two. First, we need to concatenate these two data frames. So net current asset is equal to pd.concat. We are concatenating TCL with TCA, then reset index, and then down here we are trying to get the difference between the two variables, or two rows, where we have the total current assets and total current liabilities. So let me just try to print this. We see what we have is our net current assets as a data frame. You see here we are trying to say that NCA, mean net current assets, is equal to So we've come out with rather we've created a data frame here, not actual data frame, but we are creating just a data frame from a dictionary. Here we are saying that NCA is equal to category. So we have labels of the dictionary, and then we also have values of the dictionary, the values within those columns. So the values within the columns, we're getting the differences. So we are saying that NCA underscore NCA is equal to category. Then category here is net current assets. The ledger also is net current assets. Then YTD actual, we are getting the values, the differences between current liabilities and current assets. So you can see here we are writing N underscore C underscore A in bracket YTD actual dot difference. So dot difference here to mean that we are getting the difference between the total current assets and total current liabilities. And the same applies to where we have YTD last year, also total last year. So here we are getting the differences of current liabilities and current assets. And then down here we are trying to put the dictionary here within a data frame. So we are seeing that net current assets is equal to PD dot data frame in bracket NCA. So let's print a net current assets to see what we have. So the period is still 1 in the financial year in reviews 2017. So this is what we have down here. So current assets. Let me first comment out this one. And I'll run the code again. So period 1. Period 1, then we have the financial year reviews 2017. So this is what we have as our net current assets. Okay. So after net current assets, now we need to pick this row and concatenate with the data frame so that we can have our net current assets. Rather, we can have our current assets, current liabilities, and net current assets. So down here you're saying that level 1 underscore BS. So we are trying to concatenate the net current assets with current liabilities, current assets. So here we are saying the level 1 underscore BS is equal to PD dot on current assets, current assets underscore liabilities, then again net current assets. So we are concatenating the two data frames to get our net current assets, rather to get a full data frame of current assets to net current assets. So the period is 1, financial year and reviews 2017. So here we have I need to comment the first one out, but this first data frame is for the net current assets, but what we need is this one down here. Period is 1, financial year and reviews 2017. So now this is what we have as we have total current assets, and down here we have our net current assets. but what we are supposed to concatenate should be the net current assets are supposed to having these two lines of net current assets, one with blank and another one with values. So let's see what we have up here. So here you can see that net current assets dot tail, just to have the last row of so we have one, and it's 2017. So here we have our net current assets down here, but I will come back again and reset the index. But before then, let's just continue see what we have as our non-current assets. So here we need to talk about the non-current assets. So the non-current assets here, we are saying that fixed assets is equal to pt.dataframe data underscore bs.log. Now here we are using lambda, and lambda just anonymous function which takes it can take more than one, can take multiple arguments, but the expression can only be one. So here we have just an argument called x, but the expression here we are saying that x category is equal to fixed assets. So the expression is one, but the argument also is one, but lambda can take more than one argument with a single expression. So we are saying here fixed asset is equal to pd.dataframe in bracket data underscore bs.log. Then we are creating a subset of data where category is equal to fixed assets. And down here you're saying that fixed asset.log in bracket fixed asset is equal to fixed assets. Then in square bracket we are putting the numerical columns, then we are summing the values. So in short here we are trying to get the total and the total values of fixed assets. Then down here we are saying that fixed assets is equal to fixed assets dot replace np.none comma then total fixed assets. So we are replacing the null values with the total fixed assets. Then again we are trying to put the fixed assets within data frame down here in this line of code. Then again we also have accumulated depreciation. We need to net off our accumulated depreciation from our fixed assets. So we are saying that accumulated depreciation is equal to pt.dataframe. Then we are subsetting a category of data, or rather subset of data where we have category is equal to accumulated depreciation. And then down here we are saying we are trying to add accumulated depreciation, rather the numerical columns are being added, and then accumulated depreciation is equal to accumulated depreciation dot replace. We are replacing the null values with less accumulated depreciation. So this is a string, and then down here we are putting the data of accumulated depreciation within a data frame. So let's print accumulated depreciation. We see what we have. Print accumulated dep. First, let's just print. The period is 1, but we can use 2. Financial year reviews 2017. So this is what we have as our accumulated depreciation, and then this should be the total value. The value down here should be the total value that we are saying less accumulated depreciation. So this value we need to less from our fixed assets. The last row of this data frame need to net off from our fixed assets. So down here we are saying net fixed assets. So we are trying to come up with a code that will net off the accumulated depreciation. So we are again subsetting whether we are picking a row from the total fixed assets. So we are saying total fixed assets is equal to fa.log in bracket fa is equal to category, where the category is equal to total fixed assets, and then we are also saying that total accumulated depreciation is equal to accumulation.dep.log, rather accumulation depreciation.log bracket accumulated dep, where category is equal to less accumulated. Remember, this is a row. This is a row that I've just shown you here. This row is what we are trying to select, so that we can net off from our fixed assets. And then down here we are saying that net fixed asset is equal to pd.convert, and in a bracket tda, comma, then tfa to mean total accumulated dep. The other one is total fixed assets dot reset index. Then down here now we are trying to get the difference between total fixed assets and accumulated depreciation. So we are saying that n underscore the net fixed asset is equal to the curly bracket. So the values have been put under curly brackets. Then we have the labels of the columns, and then the numerical values. We are trying to get the difference between total fixed assets and accumulated depreciation. So that's why we put this NFA in bracket YTD underscore actual dot difference. So the dot difference here is just to get the difference between total fixed assets and accumulated depreciation. So the same has been applied to YTD last year, and then total last year, and then down here we are trying to put this data. So the data appear in form of a dictionary. So down here we are putting it within a data frame. So we are saying that net fixed asset is equal to pd.data frame in bracket net fixed asset, then index is equal to 1. So even without using this index is equal to 1, it should give us a data frame. We don't need an index there. And then net fixed assets is equal to pd.concat. So we are concatenating the value of what we've gotten here for this net fixed asset, this data frame. So here we are trying to concatenate 3 data frames. We are concatenating the data frame for TFA, total fixed assets, TAD, total accumulated depreciation, and NFA to mean net fixed assets. So we want to have the data frames in a single data frame. We call net fixed assets. So let's try to print net fixed asset. We see what we have. Print net underscore fixed assets. The period is 1 financial year in reviews 2017. Let me first comment this one out to avoid the confusion. We just want the net fixed assets only. So it's slow. Period 1, the financial year in reviews 2017. So this is what we have as our total fixed assets. Then we are netting off accumulated depreciation. Then down here we have our net fixed assets. So net fixed asset is like will be like a blank row, but let's just make it we can delete it by just not deleting, but we can just decide to pick the last row, or we can leave it as it is to create the net fixed assets. But let me just try to net fixed assets. So this one I'll say dot, or I can put it here dot tail, so that we can just have the last row of that data frame. Now when we print, we just have only one row for net fixed assets. So the period is period 1 financial year in reviews 2017. Dictionary has no attribute. Okay, so I need to put it after making a data frame. So this one should be dot tail and 1, and we can rerun it again. So the period is 1 financial year in reviews 2017. So this is what we have as our net fixed assets, where we have total fixed assets less accumulated depreciation, and then we have our net fixed assets down here. So let's move on to intangible assets. So with intangible assets, it's the same principle that we've applied in the fixed assets. It's the same that we'll apply in our intangible assets. So we'll have a category where we have intangible assets. Then we'll sum the values of the intangible assets. Then again, we are replacing the null values with total intangible assets. Then we are putting the same under a data frame. And then again, we are also trying to get the amortization of those intangible assets. So down here we have accumulated amortization, of which we are again using the same principle that we used in depreciation. So first we have a line of code where we are trying to get a subset data where category is equal to accumulated amortization. And then the next line of code, we are trying to sum the values, the numerical values within that data, within the data set, and then by summing them, we'll have the total value of the total value of amortization. Then down here, we are trying to replace the null values with less accumulated amortization. Then we are putting the data set within a data frame. Then lastly, we are rather not lastly, but down here, let me just comment this out first. So down here again, we are trying to get the net intangible assets. So to get the net intangible assets, we must net off accumulated amortization from the total intangible assets. So the first line of code here, we are saying that total intangible assets is equal to intangible assets dot log. Then in bracket, intangible assets category is equal to total intangible assets. So we are picking the last line of code where the last line of that data frame where we have total intangible assets. Then again, we are also picking the last row of total accumulated depreciation. We are saying that total accumulated amortization is equal to accumulated amortization dot log. Then we are subsetting category where rather we are subsetting data where category is equal to accumulated amortization. Then down here, we are trying to reset index after concatenating the two data frames. So we have total intangible assets and total accumulated amortization. And then we are concatenating two data frames where we are having total accumulated amortization and total intangible assets. Then down here, the code here just to get the difference between accumulated amortization and total intangible assets. It's the same principle that we applied when we were trying to get the difference between total assets and total accumulated depreciation. After doing that, we are putting the data within a data frame. This index is equal to 1 is not necessary. And then down here, we are saying that net intangible assets is equal to pd.concat. We are concatenating total intangible assets with total accumulated amortization with total intangible assets. So let's see what we have as total intangible assets. The net intangible assets, net underscore intangible assets, and down. So the period will be period 1. Period 1, financial year reviews 2017. So let me put this other one up. One is for fixed assets rather than non-current assets. Then I'll run the code again. So the period again is period 1. Financial year in review 2017. So this is what we have. We have total intangible assets. We have less accumulated amortization. And then we have net intangible assets. So here again, we can use .tail to just get the last row of the intangible assets, rather the net intangible assets. So here I will write tail, and in bracket 1. So this will just give us the last row of the net intangible assets, as opposed to giving us 2 rows. So here we have period 1, financial year in reviews 2017. So this is what we have as net intangible assets. Let's move on to total non-current assets. So total non-current assets, we know that it is net fixed assets plus net intangible assets. So our first line of code, we are saying that non-current assets, but let me just comment this out. We know that net current assets, rather, the first line of code is non-current assets 1 is equal to net fixed assets dot log net fixed assets category is equal to net fixed assets. So we just we want to get the value of net fixed assets, and down here the same principle applies. Here we want to get the value of net intangible assets, and down here we are trying to concatenate the two data sets. So we are saying that total underscore non-current assets is equal to pd.concat. So we are concatenating non-current assets 1 with non-current assets 2. Remember, non-current assets 2 is the intangible assets, and non-current assets 1 is net fixed assets. So after concatenating the two, we need to get the total values. So the total values for the numerical columns we get by having this code total non-current assets dot log in bracket total non-current assets is equal to total non-current assets. Then we put all the numerical columns in double square brackets. Then we sum the values. So down here we'll have our total non-current assets. Then we'll replace the null values with total non-current assets. So let's print and see what we have as total non-current assets. I know if you're an accountant, you'll follow swiftly. It's not there's nothing cumbersome because we are using the same principle of accounting, but now we are coding using the accounting procedure. So here we have category, we have ledger, and then we have YTD actual, YTD last year, total last year. So the first line we have net fixed assets. The next row we have net intangible assets, and then the last row we have total non-current assets. Okay. Then now from here now we need to get total net assets. Total net assets. So total net assets will be total non-current assets plus will be total non-current assets plus total net current assets. So here you're seeing that total net assets. So we have the first line of code. We are seeing that total non-current assets 1 is equal to total non-current assets 1.log. We want a subset of data where category is equal to total non-current assets, the value that we just put up here. Then here we are seeing that total non-current assets is equal to pd.concat. So we want to concat all the data frames that are supposed to have to get the proper data frame for the balance sheet up to the level of total non-current assets. So what we do here, we are seeing that TNA is equal to pd.concat in bracket level 1 BS, then net fixed assets, then we have net intangible assets, then total non-current assets. So down here we are seeing that we are adding the net current assets with net non-current assets. So the net non-current assets, we are being added with net current assets. Remember, the net current assets was total current assets minus total current liabilities. So now we want to add them to net non-current assets. So here we are seeing that total non-current assets 1 is equal to total non-current asset.log. So we want to get a subset of data where we only have a net current assets. So we are picking this row, only this row where we have net current assets, and then this other total non-current assets 2 is equal to tna.log. Again, this one we are picking the row where category is equal to total non-current assets, and then down here you're seeing that total net assets is equal to pd.concat. We want to concat these two rows. The pd.concat tna1 comma tna2 axis is equal to 0 because we are doing it vertically, and then down here we're just getting the total value of net current assets and total non-current assets. So we are saying down here that total net assets dot log in bracket total net assets is equal to total net assets, and then in square brackets we have the YTD actual, YTD last year, and total last year, then dot sum to mean that we are totaling the values of these two rows, and then total net assets is equal to total net assets dot replace. So we are replacing the null values with total net assets. And this other line of code we have TNA3. So total net assets 3 is equal to total net assets dot log. Total net assets category is equal to total net assets. So in short, let me just try to print this so to show you what to make it easier for us to understand. I also want to print this as well. Let me first print that. So let me print total net assets. Let me print this. You see what we have. So here we are concatenating two rows from two data frames where we have net current assets and total non-current assets. So here the period is 1, financial year in review is 2017. So this is what we have as net current assets and total non-current assets. So down here we are trying to not down here, but in this other printout that I'm almost making, we are trying to get the sum values of the two rows. Let me run this code again. Period is 1, financial year and reviews 2017. Now this is what we have as our total net assets, because we are adding the non-current assets. We're adding the net current assets with the total non-current assets. So again, down here we are saying that we said that TNA3 is equal to total assets, total net assets, category is equal to total net assets. So when you check where the category is equal to total net assets, is this value down here. And this is the row that I'm talking about. So we want to pick this row and concatenate with total net assets as a data frame. Okay. So what I need to do, make it much clear. Let me first print the TNA total net assets. The total net assets somewhere. Total net assets and fixed assets. I want to print total net assets. So total net assets is total net assets is what we have here. Okay, total net assets is what we have up here. We just printed. So it's me again trying to confuse. Total net assets is this value here, total net assets. And then down here we are saying that TNA3 is equal to total net assets dot log. Category is equal to total net assets. And then down here we are saying that level 2 BS is equal to pd.concat TNA3, and where this is equal to 0. So TNA is total net assets. TNA3 is this the last row of this data frame. So we are taking this last row of the data frame, and you want to concatenate it with TNA total net assets. So where we have the TNA is here. So this was our TNA. Let me print in bracket TNA. So please guys, don't be confused by the variables. We have quite a number of variables, but if you understand how the accounting the balance sheet, how to generate a balance sheet, you'll understand how the variables also should follow each other. So let me print here 20. This is 2017. I want to print TNA, and this other row of this TNA3. So you see here we have our TNA. So total net assets is this data frame that we have, where we have total non-current assets also down here. Okay. So these are the data frame where we have total non-current assets and then total net assets. We've added the two get the total net assets. So you want to pick this pick this last row and add it below this total non-current assets. So after total non-current assets, we'll be adding another row for total net assets. So the TNA3, we just selected this last row, and now you want to add it to this total non-current assets. You want to add it to this other data frame where we have the total non-current assets as the last row. So when I come up here, you can see we are saying that level 2 BS is equal to pd.concat TNA. So TNA is this data frame that we just printed, and this is what we printed as TNA on here to total non-current assets, and then we are concatenating the TNA3. So TNA3 is the last row of this data frame. So this we picked TNA3 as this row, and we are resetting index. Then again we are saying level 2 BS is equal to level 2 BS dot drop index. Level 2 BS is equal to pd dot data frame. Yes. So we are putting the whole data within a data frame. I think that's just a repeat. Maybe we need not to use the data frame again. This code for pd dot data frame, I think it's not necessary. Let me comment this out. Come down here, print level 2 BS. See what we have. So the period is 1, financial year is 2017. So this is what we have as our level 2 BS. We have current as. Let me go away with this like that. Let's only have level 2 BS. So again, I will run this code. The period is 1, financial year is 2017. So when we count up like this is what we have now. Now we have category, then we have ledger, we have YTD actual, we have YTD last year, another YTD last year, and then they also have total last year. So we have current assets is here. These are our current assets from here. When we come down here, we have our current liabilities. These are our current liabilities. Then down here we have our total current liabilities, and we also have total current assets. Then we have net current assets is here, and then we have total fixed assets. And we've left our accumulated depreciation. We got our total net fixed assets, which is like total net fixed assets. Then we also have total intangible assets. We have less accumulated amortization. We have our net intangible assets. Then total non-current assets we have down here. Okay, this is total non-current. So with the total non-current, we also add total current. Then we'll get our total net assets down here. And then from here now we need to move to non-current liabilities. So non-current liabilities are here. Let me comment this one now. So we are saying non-current liabilities. The first line of code, we are creating a blank row where we have zeros. So these zeros will change them later into spaces or just blank cells. We create a heading for the non-current liabilities. Then the next line of code, we are trying to get a subset of data where the category is equal to non-current assets. So we use lambda. Then this other line of code, we are getting the total values of non-current assets. So the total value, after getting the total values of non-current assets, down here we are to say net current liabilities is equal to net current liabilities dot replace. So we are replacing the null values with total non-current liabilities. Then we are trying to do the same in our data frame. I think this is unnecessary, but there must be a reason why this. Let me just also uncomment this one out. There could be a reason I did this. So this has been put within a data frame. So from there now we have our net current liabilities. Then from the net current liabilities, we need to get the. But first, let me try to print and we see what we have as net current liabilities and underscores L. This is not net current liability, but non-current liabilities. Non-current liabilities, not net current liability. The period is 1. Financial year in review is 2017. So this is what we have as our total non-current liabilities. So there are two lines. Because we are adding the values, and we only had one row of non-current liabilities. So we have two rows for first is for total, or rather the first one is for the values, and then the other one is for the total values. So then moving down here, now we have total funds deployed. So total funds deployed, let me first comment this one up. Total funds deployed, we need to add the total net assets plus total non-current assets. And now from this total net assets, the total non-current liabilities, we need to pick the last row, which is down here. We need to pick this last row. This row we need to pick for the total values of non-current liabilities, and we need to add this one to the total net assets. Not total net assets, but we need to net off this, not to add. We need to net off the total non-current liabilities from total net assets. So we'll pick the subset of data where we only have the total net assets. We'll also pick another subset of data where we only have total non-current assets, and then we'll get the difference of the two, because we have total net assets and total non-current assets. So the difference will give us the total funds deployed. So down here we are saying that total funds deployed down here is equal to pd.concat total funds deployed with total funds deployed 1. So total funds deployed 1 is for total net assets. The total funds deployed 2 is for total non-current assets. So we want to get the difference between the two. So down here we are saying that total funds deployed is equal to. So we've come up with a dictionary from these two sets of data, the two variables. So we are saying we have category, we have total funds deployed, and the ledger column, we have total funds deployed as well in the row. Then these other columns, we are getting the difference. So we are saying that YTD actual hyphen, rather not hyphen but colon, then TFD total funds deployed in bracket. Then we have YTD actual dot difference. So dot difference to get the difference between total funds, total net assets, and total non-current liabilities. We are doing all this for the three columns: total last year, YTD last year, and YTD actual. Then down here we are putting the total funds deployed within a data frame, because this one up here is a dictionary, but we are getting the difference between the two variables, TFD1 and TFD2. So we are having TFD is equal to pd.dataframe TFD, and then now we have level 3 BS to mean level 3 balance sheet is equal to pd.concat. So we want to concat level 2 with the net current liabilities and total deployed. Let's see what we have as on level 3 underscore BS. So it's all about calculating the values and then adding to data frames. Data frames start when it is very short, but it continues being long as you add in the some rows as you calculate coming downwards. So let's print and see the level 3 underscore BS. So the period is 1, financial year reviews 2017. Let me just roll up. So you can now see we have total non-current liabilities at these values. Then total under non-current liabilities we have bank term loans. Then we have the total, because it's only one line of one row of liabilities. And the total and the liabilities is the non-current liability is the same. And we also have total funds deployed. So total funds deployed will be total net assets minus total non-current liabilities. So it is 13. It is this 1327,364. And now we minus this 653,983.75. We end up with 673. 673,380 as our funds deployed. Then from now here we need to get into equity. Equity is the funds for the shareholders' funds. When you come down here, we have, let me comment this one out again. This one up. So we've seen now we've arrived at level 3 BS where we have total funds deployed. Now we are moving into equity. So equity, we are saying that the first line of code, we are saying that equity 1 is equal to pg.dataframe in bracket data underscore bs dot lock. So from the data underscore bs, we are getting a subset of data where category is equal to equity. And then the next line of code, we are saying that equity 1 dot lock in bracket 1 as equity is equal to equity 1. So we are getting the sum values. This subset of data, the sum values, we are getting the sum values of equity. And then equity 1 again, we are saying that equity 1 is equal to equity 1 dot replace the null values with 1 as equity. Then now we also have equity 2. Equity 2, now we are picking the, remember after having done the profit and loss, profits and loss, we had a variable called level 10 underscore s, of which we were saying that this variable will be used in a balance sheet. So we've taken the level 10 underscore bs, which was the profit that we got from that data frame, or rather the last row that we had from that data frame. We want to add it with our equity. Yeah, so we are saying that equity 2 is equal to level 10 underscore bs dot drop. So we are dropping period actual, period budget, YTD budget, period last year. So let me just take you back to where we had done the YTD, P&L YTD. You see what we have. This was our P&L YTD, and then we were saying that PBT.tail. So we were picking the last row where we have the profit before tax, and that profit before tax, that last row of profit before tax, we come down here and say level 10 underscore bs equal to PBT. So we've referenced, we came up with another variable here, and we referenced the value of this PBT, of which we only had the last row. So now this variable is the one we are using down here for equity 2. Equity 2 is equal to level 10 underscore bs dot drop. So we are dropping these other columns that which we don't need in calculation of a calculation of balance sheet. Let me just print this to see what we have. Print in bracket level 10 underscore bs. Just want to show you what we have that is coming from our P&L YTD. So let me print this. So the period I will use period 1, and the financial year in review is 2017. So this is what we have, this is what we had as our profit before tax. This for period 1. The same value that we want to use here when calculating, rather when generating our balance sheet, because the profit is always second to balance sheet. But here we are using profit before tax, not profit after tax, because in our financial reports automation we don't have an element of tax, so we only have profit before tax. So the value for profit before tax that we've gotten in the previous data frame as YTD monthly, or the YTD income values, is what we want to use here in PBT, rather in balance sheet. So the profit before tax that we had in our not monthly but YTD profit and loss is the value that we want to use here in profit in balance sheet, because we did not have the tax element calculation of profit. So coming down here, rather in our next line of code, you're saying that equity 2 is equal to level 10 underscore bs dot drop. So we are dropping these columns. We are dropping period actual. We are dropping period budget. We are also dropping YTD budgets. Let me just try to highlight. We are dropping this column. We are also dropping period budget. No, we are not dropping period. Yes, period actual we are dropping. We are dropping period budget. YTD budget also we are dropping, and we are also dropping period last year. So this one is also being dropped. So we are remaining with this other three periods: YTD actual, YTD last year, and total last year. So when we come down here, we are saying again that equity 2 is equal to PD dot data frame equity 2. So we are putting the equity 2 variable within a data frame. Then we are saying PBT underscore BS. So profit before tax underscore BS is equal to equity 2 dot log, equity 2 category is equal to PBT. So we just pick the value where category is equal to PBT. So equity 2 is this value that we've just gotten here, but again now we're just picking the same value. So don't be confused that we are getting another value from a different data frame. Data frame is the same value. So here we are saying that equity 2 is equal to equity 2 dot log, equity 2 category is equal to PBT. So this one we are trying to we are trying to pick the same row within this data frame. Then we are saying again equity 3 is equal to equity 1 dot log. So we have equity 1 where we have owners equity is equal to equity 1 dot log, category is equal to owners equity. Again here we are only picking the row where we have the owners equity. We want the values of the owners equity, and then we are saying equity is equal to PD dot concat. So we are concatenating equity 3 with PBT underscore BS. So meaning we are adding the sure we are adding PBT and owners equity. So PBT and owners equity here is the share capital. So here we are adding owners equity, which is share capital. We are adding with the profit before tax. So that's why you're saying that equity is equal to PD dot concat equity 3 and PBT underscore BS. then you're saying that equity dot log owners total owners equity is equal to equity in bracket YTD actual, YTD last year, and total last year. So we are summing the values. So before then, let me just try to show you what we have here as equity. So let me print in bracket equity. So period 1, 2017. So this is what we have as equity, where we have the PBT that we got after calculating the calculation of profit and loss. And then we also have owners equity, which is the share capital. So when we come down here, again I can also show you the owners equity from our Excel. You see if what I'm talking about is the exact thing. So I can come here, show you the same. So the owners equity can get from loan and investment. So share capital, in the beginning we had this value, and then at the end we had added this value. Okay. Okay. So this was coming from 2016, and 2017 we had 100,000 injected as share capital. So what we have as total share capital would be 1110. Okay. But what do we have in our total owners equity? So this is what we have as total owners equity. Okay. Year to date 447, 434. Which is correct. It is correct because from the previous figures, we had the opening balance as 10,938, and after making a profit of this value 436,995, we need to add this value to our share capital. So this will be our share capital. We need to add this to get our equity. We need to add 10, 938, 530, 938.53. We need to add to our profit that we had last year as PBT before tax to get the opening owners equity. So the opening owners equity should be 447,034. So that is what was a bit confusing, and then from there we need to add again I need to get equity 1. Where is equity 1? Yes, 1 is here. So equity 1 is where we have our this is where we have the share capital, and this this total equity, whatever I'm calling equity 3, is where we have the previous year's profit plus the current year's profit. So we are saying equity is equal to pt.concat equity 3 and PBT. So equity 3 here is is the previous year's profit, and then we are adding with the current year's profit as PBT. So let me just try to again to print equity 1. We see what we have as equity 1. Let me come here and print equity 1. Equity 1. Avoid a lot of confusion. Need to print equity 1 and see what we have. Let me print both equity 1 and equity. And this is 2017. So equity 1 for last year we had 10,938. For the current year we have 10. Rather, current year we have these two values. We have 10,938 plus 436,095. So this is at as of January. So let me just confirm. Of January. Okay, as of January we had 10,938 plus PBT. So this 100 was added in the period of February. So when I use period 1, so the period 2 will not reflect in period 1. So here we have 10,938 plus the previous year's profit as retained earnings. So total is 447,038. So the opening balance for the current year will be 447,034, then plus PBT for this current year. Let me just go back to, let me comment this one out. So what are we doing here? So we are seeing that equity.log. So we are getting the owner's equity. Then we are summing the values. Then we are saying that equity is equal to equity 1 dot replace, replacing the null values with total owner's equity. Then total owner's equity is equity.log equity, where category is equal to total owner's equity. So down here we are saying total owners funds is equal to pd.concat equity 1 PBT plus price and total owners equity. Let's see what we have as total owners equity. Let's print this. Int bracket total owners funds, and then I'll comment out the other one. Now let's see what we have as total owners equity. before we concatenate. So this is 2017. We have 447,034 as total owners equity. So this is for total last year, and then what we did last year, and then for the current year we have 380.75. So we have this is share capital. This is our share capital. This is the profit from last year. Then when we add these two, we get the share capital plus the profit from last year. We get 447. We get 447,034.29. Then again we have the profit for this year, which is 246. Then the total for these two now. The total for these two now will get these two. You're supposed to get 673 each. So that is the total equity, total owners equity. So down here you're saying that level 3 BS is equal to pg.concat. So we are concatenating level 3 BS with total owners funds. So let's print level 3 BS. We see what we have. So print in bracket level 4 BS, level 4, yes. So let's print and see what we have. This is period 1. This is 2017. Let me pull up first. So this is our YTD actual. When you come down, let's come down and we see what we have as total funds deployed. This is what we have, and then we have total owners equity. Is this what we have? So the values are time. Then when you come down here for last year values, pick this red. Last year values, we have this value here for total funds deployed, and then for the current financial year, total owners, or rather for total owners equity, we have these values. Total owners equity as the values time. So this was our balance sheet. But before we call it a day, down here I've created another variable for variance alert. So when I talk about variance alert, I mean when the total funds deployed is not equal to total owners equity, we need to check the variance of the two. So down here we are seeing that let me just uncomment this one out. So again I will comment that point out, and I'll do away with this. with the triple or triple double quotes, the triple quotes. So here we are saying that variance alert, we are saying V1, variance 1 is equal to level 3 BS.log, level 3 BS category is equal to total funds deployed. So we are picking these two sets of values, two sets of rows or two sets of data. I'm picking these two. This is the first one, total funds deployed, and this other one, total owner's equity. So we are saying here that level 3 BS over 1 is equal to level 3 BS dot log, level 3 BS category is equal to total funds deployed, and then level 2 is equal to level 4 BS dot log, level 4 BS category is equal to total owner's equity, and then variance is equal to pg.concat v1 and v2. So we are concatenating these two variables. Axis is equal to 0, then we are resetting the index, and then we are saying that variance is equal to, so we want to get the difference between total funds deployed and total owner's equity. So down here we are getting the difference within a dictionary. So we are saying variance is equal to curly brackets, then we have category. Category is check variance, so within the column of category we are writing check variance, and within ledger also we are writing check variance, and then we are getting the difference between total funds deployed at owner's equity within the numerical columns as YTD actual, YTD last year, and YTD total last year. And then we are saying again here variance is equal to PD bracket rather PD.data frame variance, then index is equal to 1. So index is equal to 1 because I'm picking the last row of the data frame. Or I can as well say pg.data frame variance rather variance dot tail in bracket 1. So the index is equal to 1 is the same as dot tail in bracket 1, and then now down here I'm saying that I'm using the if and else function. I'm saying that if variance in bracket YTD actual is greater than or is equal to 0.5 dot bool, again variance in bracket total last year is greater than or equal to 0.5 dot bool is true, then down here we'll say level 4 BS is equal to pd.concat level 4 BS variance axis is equal to 0, then reset index. So when we have this variance, when we have the values, when we are getting the variance from these two rows, we'll concatenate that variance to the original data frame of level 4 BS. So level 4 BS is equal to level 4 BS dot replace, so we're replacing the null values with dash, and then level 4 BS is equal to level 4 BS dot drop index. This is equal to 1, so we are resetting the index up here, then down here we are dropping the index. So again we are saying level else if variance YTD actual is less than or equal to negative 0.5 dot bool, and variance or rather or variance total last year is less than or equal to negative 0.5 dot bool is true, and level 4 underscore BS is equal to pd.concat level 4 BS with the variance. So in bracket, rather in short, we are trying to get the difference of these two rows where we have total funds deployed and total owner's equity. So we are getting the differences in both sides, of which the first one we are subtracting total owners equity from total funds deployed, and on the other side we are also subtracting total funds deployed from total owners equity. So that's why we have if and if else with this negative 0.5 and positive 0.5, and then this is the second one we have less than, the first one we have more than, and then we are saying that if variance if variance in bracket YTD actual is less than or equal to negative 0.5 dot bool, and variance total last year is less than or equal to negative 0.5 dot bool is true, level 4 underscore BS is equal to PD.CodeCut level 4 underscore BS in comma variance. So we are concatenating the variance with the original data frame, then level 4 underscore BS is equal to level 4 dot drop subledger, and index and axis is equal to 1. So there's a ledger here that we had, or rather when we print this when we print this level 4 underscore BS, this data frame, you can see down here we have a subledger. So this subledger, we are dropping this column with the index, that the index column that has been reset, and then down here we are saying else level 4 underscore BS is equal to level 4 underscore BS dot drop subledger axis is equal to 1. So else is just to mean that when there's no difference, when these two conditions are not met, just drop the subledger from that data frame. So this I can show by example, and then by showing by example we need to print this one on Excel so that we can see if the variance will be printed or not. So what I will do, I will print level 4 underscore BS, then I will also save it in Excel. So here I will run this code. So let me run the code with the variance alert. So the period is can be whichever period number depending on your data sets. So we'll write here 1. In the financial year in review is 2017. So this is what we have as our data frame. We have category column, ledger column, YTD actual, YTD last year, and then we also have total last year, and then we have the values from current assets, current liabilities, non-current liabilities, up to where now we have the total funds deployed and total owners equity. So from here now we want to create a variance. We want to make this data frame such that and the total funds deployed will not be the same values as total funds deployed will not be in the same values as total owners equity. So we want to create a variance and then see what happens when we save this one on Excel, whether the variance will be printed out or not. So what we'll do, we'll come to this data frame. So what I need to do, in my share capital, I want to add 1,000 to this figure, 1,000. So instead of 10,000, I will put here 1, make it 11,000. Then I will save. So before then, let me just show you what we have. as a printout. So let me see. We have statement, we have and then level for BS. So what I'm trying to check, if we have this value, what did we save? We save BS, or we save it within Excel as bs.excel. So let's check that first. BS. So this one is the Excel part. So this is what we have. So this is what we have. So what we want to check, apparently let me just hide this column. Just a minute, let me undo. Let me hide this column. Then I want to highlight these two rows. This one here. So apparently you can check if these values are equal. So these values are equal. If I take that minus this, it will get 0. So we don't have any variance on these values. So we don't have any variance as of now, but I've changed the figures here. I've changed the share capital, or rather I've added 1,000 to the initial share capital where we had 10,938. So I've added 1,000 here, so it is 11,000. So again, I want to run this code. Let me run this code again and run it here. The period is period 1. The financial year is 2017. So I need to close this one first. Let me run it again. Period is 1. Financial year is 2017. So now let's see when, after saving within our Excel workbook, what do we have? So here we have 447,034, 447,034. Here we have 673,380. So there's no difference, but I don't know whether we saved. Let me try to save. I think we did not save. Let me run it again. So before I run it, I just want to show you this one here. Current level for VS. Let me just run it. So this is one. This one is 2017. So this is 447,034, 447,034, 673,380, 673,380. So what about the printout? I'm not seeing anything to do with variance. Let me check this one here. When we print out what we have, we want to see if we have any variance after changing the values. Total funds deployed, this is here. So apparently we don't have any variance. So I think the saving is not affecting. So first let me do this. This was 0. So what I need to do, let me try to change the figure from this end. Uh, 2017. So this was 2017. So let it come from the trial balance. So let me try to write this one as 11 instead of 10. And I will save. Then I will run this code again. So the period is period 1, financial year reviews 2017. So I did not close this file. I need to close it first. So let me run it again. Period 1, 2017. So when I scroll up here, you can see now we have variance. This is the variance that I was talking about. So when you have a variance between funds deployed and total owners equity, the variance will be printed out. So that line of code was just meant to check if the values of funds deployed and owners equity are tied. So when there's a difference, the variance will be printed out. So let me just restore this other value to how it was. So this was 0, and I can now save. So ladies and gentlemen, but before that, let me just show you again the printout before I call it a day. So this is the printout for the variance. Let me expand these columns. So down here now you can see the variance has been printed, but we need to drop this column from our line of code. So these are the values for total funds deployed, and then of course we have the variance down here. So ladies and gentlemen, that was for today. So we've just done our a balance sheet, but it's not formatted in the form of these figures that we have here. So the formatting will done with the Excel writer, but we'll do the formatting after having done the schedules and after having done also the cash flow. So we'll do the cash flow, then again we'll come back to do the schedules for both cash flow, income statement and balance sheet, these columns, and then from there now we'll come back and do the formatting for this YTD P&L, do balance sheet and cash flow, and then we'll also format the headers as what we can see here, where we have the name of the company and the title for the financial statement with the period chosen and the year chosen as well. So that was for this video, so let's stop at that. And for those of you who have not subscribed, please do. For those of you who have subscribed, and thanks a lot for your support, and please do share your comments and share my videos with your friends so that we can learn together. So thanks a lot for watching, and let's meet again on the next video.